It's about 7:45, and then I had to run before I went live. I had to run get me a Gatorade. So it's about 7:48, 7:49. So as many of you know, I have 5 gazillion gnome ornaments to make. And I've got to get busy on them. And because I've been sick, I'm now behind. But that's just part of it when you have a disability. So now it's time to play catch up and try to get up to speed with where I need to be on the arts and crafts. Hey Priscilla, I just sent you a message. I've been running and trying to get Etsy updated, and I rested in the middle of the day, and it's been a wild day. I got a bunch of vintage fur items in today that David got in hopes to sell, and I got 3 of them listed on Etsy. So I'm hoping that they sell pretty quickly. That's my hope. I hope they sell pretty quickly. So I wanted to come on and just do a little bit of crafting videos and try to get somewhat caught up on my crafting. Hi Gypsy. Look how long my hair has grown. If you've watched like some of my older videos, always when I had to work professionally or right after I stopped work, I always kept my hair really short. Well, then the pandemic and all that crap hit, and I didn't really do anything with my hair, so I just started letting it grow. It needs to be colored tragically, but it has grown. I haven't had hair this long in probably 15 years because I worked in corrections and I had to cut my hair off because you don't want a handle on your head if somebody's mad at you, which is what hair equates to if you work in the corrections field. My hair has just gone crazy. It has grown. So it's kind of funny. It's been a long time since I've had hair this long, and I keep it wadded up so much on my head that I don't realize how long it's gotten until I take it down and actually try to do something with it. And I don't know, it just hit me how long it had gotten today. After I dried it, I was like, wow, that's grown. So I'm hoping to get to a secondary thing today, but I've got to finish these disc gnomes first. I've just got to get them done because then I have a whole box of other gnomes that I have to do. David got a bunch of scrap fur from another tanner and some vintage fur items. So I'm going to try to use them, which is what we bought them for. I am going to put my hair up though. Yeah, puppy bellies are super sensitive, and they require quite a bit of protein, but certain things will absolutely like gut them or stop them up and make them turn into concrete, where they can't pass anything. So it's always best to give them a puppy formula because it comes with a lot of the additives that they need to keep their guts moving, because puppy guts are they're one of those things that are either locked and bound or free flowing and making a mess. And while free flowing and making a mess sounds horrible, it's much better than being locked and bound, especially for the dog. So that's how big my hair is, y'all. I got some big hair going on. But yeah, puppy tummies are super sensitive, and cat food actually is really, really bad for dogs. And you don't really find out how bad unless you do a deep dive and go into a lot of animal management classes and stuff like that, and they tell you just how bad it is, and you're like, boy, I had no idea. So these are just scraps of fur music that we got from another tanner. These are just scraps of fur. These are things that I can use on dream catchers and to make beards, and so they don't go to waste. So we got a really good deal on them. Plus, we bought some vintage items to move out. We were lucky enough to get some Midwestern and far north hides that we normally can't get because we don't have them here to trap. So we were lucky enough to get some really pretty stuff. And so I'm going to try to incorporate it in some of my gnome beards. Now, this is just coyote. It's just a much different texture color coyote because it's from the northern Midwest. So I'm going to put the coyote on some of these gnome ornaments that I've got going on here. And then we have some that are badger. Hi, China. We have some badger fur, which is really neat. And the badger will actually go on some of the upright gnomes, these. And it will be a huge gnome, so it's going to have to be a larger gnome. But that one's going to be fairly expensive because badger hide is, badger fur is not a normal thing that you see around here. So whoever gets it is going to have to pay the price for it because we only got 3 pieces of badger hide and it is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything so pretty as that badger hide. It's so pretty. I'm just gluing this hide on like I do our hides, so nothing new there. We got China and Music and Priscilla and Gypsy. No, I didn't watch anything. I've been so busy trying to get some mail processed and get some Etsy stuff done, and then I had to rest. So I've not really watched any news. I'm really behind, to be quite honest. Well, thank you, Gypsy. Denise has checked in with me today, and her granddaughter did get the shipment of furs that David sent for the class that she was doing. And so we were happy that those got there super quick, and that's going to be able to help her out in her education. So that got there with no problems, which is always nice. Sometimes the mail is crazy. I'm just going to tell you. Sometimes the mail is absolutely ply blank crazy. I'm gluing on this guy's little nose right now. I'm going to put a hat on him. Now, I'm wanting to do, since we got this extra fur, I have begged for David to let me make a small fur Christmas tree. Because, hello, how cute would that be? I mean, I just think that would be gorgeous. So I'm on the whiny end of trying to make him say that will be okay, which I think he will, because we have plenty of extra now, so that there's not such a concern. Because we were starting to get, I think it would be too, and do all different hides. So it'd look like a patchwork fur Christmas. I think it would be gorgeous. So that's on my want to list. So, and I think he's going to let me do it. I've just got to find a bottle small enough to kind of be my template. I could go and buy a styrofoam core at Walmart, but seeing as how I get to Walmart about once every 7 months, probably be quicker for me just to find a bottle. I just don't get out, y'all. I don't get out. I don't drive myself a lot because of my eyes and my vertigo. And so I just don't get out a lot. Not on my own, at least. So now I'm just trying to glue this right on top of his little nose that I created for him. So I've just put the flannel over his little nose. I'm going to wrap it around and glue it. And I'm actually going to start his hanger from his back. Hi, Fang. I am finally feeling better. My pancreas had like a secondary moment there where it was just like, wait. I'm not done. And I was like, oh, yay. It was not pleasant. And my stomach is super, super touchy. And I do not enjoy when that amps up because it amps everything else up. It's horrible. And I have just had a really rough couple of weeks. And I'm so over it. So over it. I want to feel better. It seems like I had like 2 really good weeks, and then my body just kind of went psych and just kind of turned really belligerent and hateful. And I have just been trying to get through it and get through it at home, because I hate going to the hospital. If you know anything about me, you know that I hate the hospital with a passion. So I've been trying to get through it at home, and that I did it. So, yeah, I'm proud of myself. But oh my gosh, it wasn't pleasant, y'all. It was not pleasant at all. Yeah, I thought it was on the upswing the other day, but apparently my body had retaliatory plans. My body is a butthole. It don't like me at all. I've often said I should donate my body to science because it's so strange. Even my doctors say that to me. I mean, they agree with me. They're like, yeah, you have a really strange immune system, endocrine system. They're like, it's really whack. And I've jokingly said I should donate my body to science. But my luck, I die, and then they say, oh, wait, we don't want her. So my family would not prepare to put me in the ground and then be stuck with a huge bill. So we decided just not to do that. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut up this flannel. And I'm going to cut it in strips just so it kind of flops like an old tattered hat. And I have to be careful because my scissors are getting dull, because we use them for everything but what we should use them for. I mean, let's just be honest. You never know what scissors in my house are going to be used for. That's why we have kitchen scissors that never get used for anything but kitchen. Just like in my house, you never lick a pocket knife. I raise my kids with a never lick a pocket knife. Okay, so here's this guy. Isn't he pretty? I think he's adorable. He's got some glue on him. I have to take the hairdryer to everything and blow him out before I take him anywhere. Isn't he cute? I think that's adorable. He kind of looks like he's got David's face shape, doesn't he? That's cute. He turned out very cute. I'll hang him up. So I'm just trying to make as many of these as I can, just so that we're well prepared for December the 3rd. I've got other stuff that I want to do that's kind of off the wall to what we would normally make, just because I want to try a few things. But I'm trying to get the things that we know sell the best done first. And that's just as a cautionary. We know they'll sell, so we know to get them done. Looking for a smaller face for this guy. He's going to have a smaller beard. So what I do is I just find the piece of fur and then I match the smaller wood piece to it so that I don't waste any fur. And if I need to double the fur or wrap the fur or glue the fur, then I'll do that while I've got it in my hand. Sometimes I like to give them a little bit more where they'll have more of a mustache than if I would have just left them alone. So I like to do stuff like that, which is what I'm doing to this little guy right now. So I'm going to give him a lower beard and a bit more of a mustache than what we usually see. I already need another glue stick. Glue sticks. ZZ Top gnomes. I guess, yeah, they did kind of look like ZZ Top. I have bluegrass on in the background, so if y'all hear something you think is going to get me copyright, please let me know and I'll turn it off. I like to have a little bit of music going when I'm working. A quiet house drives me nuts unless I'm need to be super focused on something. I hate a quiet house. I think it's because I was so used to having so many kids in my house for so many years that a quiet house drives me nuts. Oh, me. Okay, I've got his little beard on. He's got a little funky beard. I'm gonna give him a nose. And the fur that we got is actually really nice quality fur because it's stuff that we would not be able to harvest. So it's better, it's better for the customers. So they have more options, more color options, more density options, and it adds a little bit more flavor to our booth when people look at it and they see that they have a little bit more options when it comes to color palette and stuff like that. I'll cut him a bigger one. That one's too small. So I haven't been able to watch anything today, but I've been trying to listen to stuff as I've gone and done. And what was it? Is it Iran that has now said that within 48 hours they're going to attack somebody? Oh, thank you. My hair is having a day. Woo! It is having a day. I think it's Iran now that said like in 48 hours they're going to attack somebody, and I'm like, you people, you just, you people just have to be so mean. Well, I had little ones that were super notoriously loud, and I think that's why I hate a quiet house now, is because my kids were always so loud. And Lane was always playing one of several instruments, and it was never quiet in my home ever. And the only instrument I refused to buy for my son was a cello, because I knew if I bought him a cello I would never have peace again. Plus I have a tiny house and I didn't know where I put it, so I was like, no thank you. So that's the only thing I ever told him no for. But I've got bluegrass on right now just for some background noise, because I hate a quiet house. I'm putting his little hat on. I'm putting the seam in the middle of his head so it looks like his hat goes like that. Of course, we live in a place where if you open the windows, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear the sawmill sawing logs. And it's just, you hear a lot of weird noises, so we don't have a lot of quiet time around here. Especially since that couple went across the road. My Lord. But I tell you what, they can fight like I have. I mean, Lord. I have seen territorial tomcats have better relationships. It's pathetic how they treat each other. It's scary sometimes. Every once in a while, I'll step out my front door and come to hush, because I just can't take it no more. They do hush for a minute. He's got a little piece of fabric hanging off of him. Except for the dogs. Who was it? It was some country. Was it Iran said that within 48 hours they were going to attack us or someone else? And I thought, well, you just completely ruined your element of surprise. Just because that's how I think. But apparently they're gearing up for war and gearing up for a diesel shortage. And it's just like, people, can we just get along? Can we just get along? We don't have to sing Kumbaya by the fire, but can we get along? Just the bare necessities of getting along. But I guess not. I don't guess we're capable of that anymore in this country. But it seems like to me we've sent all our money to a third world nation so that we become the third world nation. But effectively, we didn't help them in any way. We just created 2 third world nations. Why we do that? Don't make sense. It don't make sense to logical people. It might make sense to somebody that knows how the money's coming out. There he is. He's very cute. He's very cute. If you are interested in the Etsy store, I listed 3 new things today. I listed a real Cody fur jacket, vintage jacket that we got. And I listed a snowshoe hair rabbit collar. It can go in any jacket or just around your neck to keep your neck warm in the winter. And a Cody. It took me a while to identify that one. Me and David fussed over for a minute, but it's actually due to the size and the hair follicles. It's actually Cody. I was totally going to say it was raccoon, but it's a big, deep brown Cody and collar shawl, and it's longer than the other one. So we listed those 3 things in the Etsy shop today. Me and David had to fuss about what the brown one was before we listed it, though. Hey, Denise. I know music. I'm like, when did this happen? But Iran said that they are, in the next 48 hours, are going to be attacking someone, either us or China, or I've only barely caught the half of the radio. And I was like, what? I was like, seriously? It's like, what? I have to admit, though, that if we're going to give Joe Biden any awards, it's going to be how to make the least amount of friends and the most enemies in the shortest amount of time. The man has got it down to an art. And I'm like, man, you're talented, bud. I mean, I'm astonished at how fragile the world was when one dementia-ridden old man stepped into office. It just crumbled the entire world. And I'm like, were we that fragile? Were we really that fragile? Perhaps we need to discuss this on a different level. But yes, it seems that we were indeed that fragile. And if you look back and think back to all the work that all these men have done in their lifetime to better our planet, you just kind of have to go, huh, well, all that work and we ruined it in 2 years, you know. And it's just kind of like, it's almost like, you know, I can go to the grocery store and spend a lot of money, but on average, I'm very careful when I go to the grocery store. So I don't have a lot of oopsies when I go to the grocery store. I plan out what I'm going to buy, and I don't ruin my budget, and therefore I don't topple my household. So how did it come so easy to topple a nation in 24 months? Well, less than 24 months. And I'm sorry, y'all make it mad at me for saying that. I just think it was by design. I just think it was by design, planned out. You know, don't even get me started on the Paul Pelosi crap. I mean, I'm sorry. You say you have an attacker to your home, the police show up and he's in his underwear, and he's an illegal, and he's in his underwear, and the window is busted out of your home, not into your home for a break-in. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Papa Paul, what you've been doing. But, you know, it creates a lot of questions as to what our ruling class has been allowed to get away with for many, many years, and how stupid they think we are, and what they think they should be capable of, and what they think we should be blind about. And, you know, I don't know how stupid they think most Americans are, but I think they are misjudging us by a long shot. And I think they're misjudging our compassion for our ruling class by a long shot. Because I've not met anyone that is happy about any of this. And, no one is just kind of letting this slide. Everyone sees it for what it is. So I'm just like, are y'all this stupid, or do y'all just not care? And I honestly think it's just that they don't care, or they think they don't need to care because we are that blind. But then the only thing I have heard of in the news this week is the Elon Musk and the Twitter, and apparently he found the government portal where the government and Twitter was discussing how to rein in the dissidents on social media. So now we do know that our government was working against us during all of that and trying to manage us like children, which should creep everyone out, especially when the foundation of this nation is supposed to be based on freedom. It should creep everyone out. But no one seems to be talking about it. And even Elon Musk is just kind of letting it slide. And I'm like, okay, Elon, who's got their talons into you now? Because I had hoped that he would at least tell us truthfully what was going on when he got in there. But now I think they've got him too. So I don't know if we are ever going to know exactly what has been going on in the social media side of things. But it's concerning. It's concerning. And now the diesel shortage, and there's a lot of things that we as Americans have had to brace for that should not have even been issues in our nation had we had competent leadership. And it's just like no one's willing to stand up and say that. No one's willing to say, hey, if we had had competent leaders, this would not have been an issue. Why are we scared to say that? He has got a wild beard. Look how far it goes down. He's got a wild beard. Fang, I agree. I think it's planned too. I think it's planned too. Which really irritates me. Because here in my life, I really feel like I have not been in control of very much. But I at least thought that karma and being good kind of paid off somewhere down the line. Like I had a hope. I know it was an idealist hope, but I had a hope that being a good person paid off at some point down the line. And I'm finding out now that no, absolutely does not. Doesn't even really weigh into any measurement. I had to put on this orange shirt because I'm going to have hair all over me when I get done here. And I can see it on this orange shirt. But being a good person and believing, thinking that there's some kind of karmic balance, it doesn't really weigh in, and the sad thing is I think to be a good nation, I think people have to go through bad things. But you would think that there would be like a payback time to where, okay, you went through the bad things, now the nation can be good for a while. And I know, that's me being, holding that ideal up and not holding that reality up. I know. But I really would like to think that mankind would be like, pause. Does anybody know what we're doing? No? Time out. Let's take a breather and talk about this. But no one seems to be interested in that. And it should terrify us that our leaders are too busy fussing to take 5 minutes out and discuss what's going on in the world around them. because there's some scary crap going on in the world around them. And they don't even, they just do not even seem phased. And probably because they know it's coming. I mean, they probably have way more warning than we would ever imagine. But, it's like, I don't know, at least if you're going to blow smoke at my hind end, consistently blow smoke at my hind end, don't just stop trying one day to hide your sins. If you're going to blow smoke, at least consistently blow smoke. Keep a puffing, just because I need that consistency, that's the one thing that a lot of people do need, even if it's an imbalance, like if it's a consistent imbalance, the human mind can work with it. But you get into all these really huge inconsistencies and trust issues with people, and it's like, if you're gonna lie, can you at least lie consistently? Can you just, if you're gonna fudge the truth, can you at least fudge the truth in a manner that I'm used to? But, and of course they say that the elections seem to be going well, and of course they're saying, the orange man, is already going out and saying that, is still saying that one was stolen and the other is going to be stolen, and that's wrong. But what has Hillary Clinton been doing? She's doing the same thing. So how is it wrong for one group and right for the other? I'm like, if it's wrong for one, shouldn't it be wrong for both? I mean, isn't that how rules kind of go? But then I realized that we have no rules. We have no rules. We have a reigning class that believes that they are in everyone's blind spot, and that they can basically do and get away with anything. And if you ask people to wake up and look at it, when I had a friend that I met in the Queen world on Instagram the other day that traveled like 4 hours to have her picture taken with Stacey Abrams. And I honestly, because she put it out there on Instagram, and I was like, honey, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Oh, you're being racist. No, I'm being honest. The woman's Satan. I mean, that is my perspective. Am I allowed to have my perspective? If you're allowed to have yours and worship this woman and post all this crap, then I should be able to have mine, right? Well, my perspective is she ain't worth the soul the good Lord spit on to make her, and she's done some very questionable behaviors, and I just don't feel that anyone in our nation should trust her. And she got mad at me, and I was, all these phobic words and all these racist words, and I'm like, okay, well then when you say this about all these other people, can I call you these words? No, because I'm not those things. Do you understand what you're doing? But she doesn't. She doesn't understand what she's doing. Here's this guy. He's got a little short beard. I think he's cute. Hi, Clara. How are you? I know it says that feeling of being treated like toddlers and creeped out has been a passion. Oh yeah, well yeah, because they feed off of it. They feed off. Anytime you're in a fear state, someone's keeping you there because they are getting some kind of payday from it, either an emotional payday or a financial payday. They're getting something for that, and probably even darker than we want to go. They're probably getting worse things. Yeah, people finally have realized there are way too many hands involved in people's lives. And it did, yeah. But I think those have matched really well, the last few have made. One thing that I have really been amazed with is how a lot of the liberals or the left-leaning people will say that the government is just simply the patriarchy, and we need to down with the patriarchy and destroy the patriarchy and dismantle the patriarchy. But they're going to do that by asking you to do things to give the patriarchy more power. Now, I'm sorry, but if a monster If you've got a monster caged, but you can guarantee that he's going to come after you, you don't keep feeding the monster. So why are you going to make the government bigger, but then try to, and it's because a lot of them need that crutch when life doesn't go the way that they think it needs to go. They need to have that crutch to fall back on. So it wasn't their fault. It was the patriarchy. And, and I think that is just stupid, because let me tell you, when things don't go well in my life, you want to know who caused it? It's me. It was me. It was me and my stupidity. And if a lot of people could stand up and say that and own that, a lot of light bulbs would be going off. But I get really tickled. Oh, this is like an old man's beard. Oh, I don't have a big one to put it on, though. I'll have to cut it into two. Man, I'm going to try to find a big one to put that on. That's just too perfect. But yeah, people don't want to take the blame anymore. They certainly want to reap the rewards of winning the oppressed Olympics, but they don't want to do any work to climb out of the oppression. And I'm like, well, honey, if you're in the mud hole, you're going to keep getting mud on you till you get out of the mud hole. But you got to get out of the mud hole. And if you choose to stay in the mud hole, then you need to shut up and stop complaining about the mud you're in, because that's your choice. Shut up. But, people don't think that way anymore. Everything, every choice they have to blame, just in case, they have to have a blame game on someone or something else, because apparently no one is in control of their life anymore. Decisions are just strange things, It was me. People do suck. Like G-force suckage. Like it's it's pretty bad. Like, if I had one question for Nancy Pelosi, it was, just when did you sell your soul to Satan? And how much did you get? Did you get a rebate? Did you have to get gap insurance? I mean, because I just don't know how one person could be so intolerant 200 years ago. I don't know how someone could be so intolerant, yet everyone says she's so tolerant. I've never seen a peep of tolerance out of this woman. I've never seen not one kindness from her. Not at all. I swear, she's either drunk or she has like palsy issues or something. Something's going on there, because it concerns me too. And then I'm like, you stupid people are still putting her into office. But let's look at California as a whole. So there was a guy from California on TikTok that he dated his fiance long distance in Iowa for a year, and then they had to make a decision if she was going to move to California or if he was going to move to Iowa. His decision was made in one morning when he had a encounter with law enforcement. He was walking across the street and apparently was walking in a crosswalk area, but was not in the crosswalk, but he was like, I was close enough. He walked across the crosswalk, and what might have been, he said, I might have been 10 inches outside of the hash marks on the road. A little moped cop to him and said, you're not allowed to do that. I'm going to give you a ticket. And literally right across the road was Tent City and some man outside pooping on the sidewalk. So he said, the only reason I was targeted instead of some homeless man showing his raw butt in public and defecating was because I had money. Therefore, I was the target. They don't target the others because they don't have money. And he said, that is why I decided to leave California. And I thought, good on you, bud. I don't blame you. But it's very true. I mean, what he said is very true. He was targeted because he could financially benefit that state. And it's sad, but that is the way the penal system and the justice system works as a whole. You rent a courtroom like you rent a surgical suite, and you pay for it a few times over by the time you've, been through everything. And yeah, people should know that, but then again, when you think you live in the land of the free, you're not always prepared for the hard news. And this guy obviously had not had any encounters like that, and therefore did not have the knowledge of how all this worked. But he asked the cop, he was like, and there's a guy right there pooping. Why are you not going after him? And I guess the cop told him, he ain't going to be able to pay a fine. I can't deal with him. But so he was targeted because he was financially capable to boost his state by being seen as a dollar bill instead of a citizen. And, I don't know. I just think more people should be aware of that and explore those travesties that are, that are going on in our nation and are a huge issue and do create a lot of dissent. And, and we aren't allowed to talk about them the way we need to talk about them. And people do fear us talking about these things. But the thing is that if people would pull their heads out of their hind ends, if they would watch historical documents and news or debates rather than makeup tutorials, they would be so much better accustomed to handle the world they're living in. So it's by choice that people remain infantilely stupid. But if you tell people it's their choice to be stupid, they will come after you because they're stupid. If someone told me I was stupid, I would sit down and be like, why did they think that of me? How do I improve myself? And am I stupid? And if so, how do I correct my stupidity? Because stupid is not anything I ever desire to be. Now, I'm not always the smartest person in the room, but stupid is not something I ever strive to be. So I would take that on and be like, how do I correct this? I certainly, I would be disgruntled that someone would call me that, but I would be more reflective than angry at the end of the day because, I am responsible for what I put out. And no, I'm not responsible how people perceive me. That's up to them. But if someone is perceiving me that way, I certainly think I have some work to do. But nobody wants to work on themselves anymore. Everyone's supposed to be just uniquely gorgeous, I like his little rag top. I'm sorry, but every once in a while I like to make a crazy one. This is my crazy one. I like his little rag top. But people they get so transfixed by being upset about the stupidest things. And I'm like, don't sit and waste your time on that. Just do some studying and go back. Centuries of alcohol abuse and it's I'm asking too much. Oh no, I'm asking for toddlers to function as adults. Oh, I think stupid has become something desirable nowadays too. Yeah, I think with the onset of social media influencers, stupid and that very plastic, superficial world became something that looked so good to certain people, and it blossomed because it was completely evading the harrows of adult life and adult responsibilities and adult behaviors that are not the most comforting things you have to deal with in life. But if you then start to base reality on a very superficial and biased perception, then you eventually forget how to handle reality. And I think now we're seeing generations that do not know how to handle reality, emotions, conflict. They don't know how to negotiate, communicate. They can't do anything. Oh yeah, they would. If you ask people if they'd rather be smart or pretty, they will say pretty. I would rather be smart. Now, luckily, I got both. But that's just how I am. But I would rather be smart because then at least I could navigate the world around me. If I'm pretty, it doesn't matter how pretty I am. I'm going to have to rely on someone else to navigate the world for me. That's not how I want to live my life. I don't want to rely on someone else. I'm pretty and I'm smart. Oh, goodness. Beauty, what is it? Beauty is in the eye of the beer holder. It's that song, right? But yeah, it's almost where ignorance has become the new plausible deniability, so that no one can be held accountable. And it's like, really, we went through the dark ages for this. Really? I actually think we're more stupid than we were back in the Victorian era. You know, at least in the Victorian era, they had apothecaries, and they were open to other types of healing and medicine. And they were exploring, even though they got a lot of things wrong, they were exploring alternative perceptions and views. You don't see that anymore. You just do not see that anymore. I know, AI scares the crap out of me, because you know something? If you create something that's artificial and it's intelligent, and you don't completely understand the line between artificial and superficial in reality, how can you expect that machine to? And what if the lines become blurred? You know? Because who are the people that are going to be losing into that? Artificial intelligence is not going to require the things we require to live. So obviously it's going to be us with our very, you know, bodies that are susceptible to many, many things. So be careful what you ask for. Too much tech. Well, and the tech we have, we use in all the wrong ways. You know, the tech we have, we use in all the wrong ways. I was watching an old show that came on back in the, I think it was like 2000 or 2003, where these people in Manitoba live as pioneers for a year. Okay? And these are people, they chose people that had farming backgrounds. Hang with me. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, this would be fun. You know, they're going to realize how hard it was back then, and you know, going to have a lot of respect for their elders and their pioneers. And day 2, they were at least smart enough to know that they had too many roosters and not enough laying hens. Credit for that. But then they decided to build a chicken coop. They built a chicken coop with about 5-foot high walls. Put nothing in there for chickens to roost on, and put no top whatsoever. What's going to happen at dusk, y'all? Them chickens are going to go up, right? Because at night, chickens want to roost. They want to feel safe. They go up. They sat there in front of that camera and said, we didn't know the chickens could jump like 10 foot. They have motherfucking wings and feathers, you dumb butt. What do you think God envisioned them for? No, they're not the most graceful and consistent flyers, but they certainly can bound. So then they had to go and chase their chickens all night to get their chickens back in the chicken coop. And they had to realize we've got to put a top on it. We've got to put a top on, and we've got to give them places to roost. Now, I'm sorry, but if anybody's great grandma ever had a chicken, you know that chickens go to roost every evening. And you know if you don't have a place for your chickens to roost, they're going to be pissed off little chickens. And you better have a place for your chickens to roost, or your chickens are going to leave you and find a place to roost. These people had not a clue. But according to the show, who had background in them, they all had farming backgrounds. Really? Really? I think not. I think somebody fibbed to me. Because, pretty much anyone that has spent about 5 minutes with a chicken, if you spent 1 day with a chicken farmer, then you know chickens come home to roost, and they go up at night. And that is how that's in their survival mode. They know that they're low dog on the totem pole. They got to go up high to stay safe. So what idiot would think that they can hold a chicken in a 5-foot fence? And what TV producers would say that these people had farming experience if they didn't know that? I have got so much fur at my nose right now, it's pathetic. Yeah, I'm an outdoors person. Oh yeah, I think we will be our own demise. What we think are advancements will probably turn out to be what ruins humanity. I mean, we always knew it would be us, you know, because we are. I mean, if you look at everything else, we are the most stupidly advancing animal on the planet. We are the only animal that is stupid enough to think creating war is beneficial. Reducing people's ability to maintain themselves is profitable and necessary. You know, in a good world, we would all want our fellow man to have all the skills, all the talents, and all the capabilities to maintain themselves in case. But in our world, we want them to only have a few capabilities because we want them to rely on us for the rest, that we have power over them. We want to have power over them. Power is more important. Power and profitability are more important than people just getting through life. You know, and that's sad. That's so sad. I have Christmas buttons ordered, but I don't know if I'm going to put them on these, like on their hats, or if I'm going to put them on the other ones. Look at him. He's got a big beard. I don't know if I'm going to put them on these or on my animal ornaments that I've made. I can't make my mind up. They lied on their application. They actually researched. And so the girl had grown up, like her grandparents had a farm, and the boy, his dad was like a big pioneer know-it-all, but it's just that he had never paid attention. I mean, you can grow up in the middle of something and be ply blank stupid about it. You know, I mean, I see people every day that grew up in middle of Appalachia and are stupid. You know, they have no logic about this area. I have people that have driven our mountain, you know, for 5 years, and they've lived here for 5 to 10 years, and they still forget during the winter to be careful and look for cracks in the pavement because our roads fall off the mountains. And then when there's a huge landslide, they get all freaked out. And I'm like, you know, this happens about every 5 years. Do you not remember? And then they're like, well, why does it fall off the mountain? Can't you build roads? Well, listen, when you have little pissing-nanny mountains like this that are sandstone, you know, it's hard to get the roads to stick just right. You know, it's hard to carve out something that's so easily, you know, granulated, I guess is the best way to put it. But they will live here and they'll notice there's construction when they move in, but apparently they don't make any long-term plans about, oh, I need to be prepared for this, that, or the other. This is also a very pretty piece that I think needs to be on a big one, so I'm gonna set it aside for a big one. I'm trying to find a different color because I've worked with a specific color now for a while. Oh, this is a new. Oh, but that's a big pretty one too. Yeah, burn it, Elvis. Like, I love these, but I don't want to cut them off to make a small one. The big pieces I want to try to keep intact for a big one. Oh, here's a little piece. Okay, yeah, this worked. Cut that off right there. Yep, that'll. I was trying to get some variations of color for customers in case they have a specific theme in their head they're going with, you know? Chestnut fire roasting door. That's it, Gypsy. Common sense has got to make a comeback. Common sense has got to make a comeback. I mean, I'm all for education. I went off, got my education. But let me tell you something. The whole time I was getting my education, people were telling me, why don't you learn to talk better? I have a dying dialect. I'm one of the very last few that talks this way. Why would I want to take it out of the world? I'm you know, I'm a guardian of this dialect. I'm going to speak it. It doesn't mean I'm stupid. It just means I speak differently. Just like people from Jamaica speak differently. People from Britain speak differently. You know, it's just like that does not equate stupidity. I certainly think that thinking someone is stupid because of their dialect equates to stupidity, but you know, but the one thing I will say, everybody says, what'd you learn when you got your education? Literally all it did was try to teach me how to kiss butt. And I'm not a butt kisser, so it literally taught me very little. Yes, I put all the information in my head, but then I realized when I got out of school, it wasn't about the information you put in your head. It was how people could manipulate you for the information you put in your head. And most of the time, that meant you were going to have to kiss somebody's butt. And once again, I'm not a very good butt kisser. So that didn't go over too well in my world. So I used my education to help the people that I was in a position to help, and found out really quickly that if I was not going to be beneficial to powerful people, that I was not going to be respected. And so I just did my job as the best of my ability and went on in my, my little world. And figured that I would land where I was supposed to land, and I would be able to help whoever I was supposed to help. And, and I'm, knock on wood, good Lord always put me where I was needed, I feel. But I would have been much more profitable in my young adult life had I been a butt kisser. But I wouldn't have helped as many people. I would have made a lot more money, but I wouldn't have helped as many people. So what is the true vantage point of an education? What was the true cause of people getting that education, if that was what was to be expected of them when they got that education? It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, so you spent that much money to really not even remember the material you were educated upon, but just simply to get a status symbol in a degree and kiss butt and set yourself up. I would certainly think that helping your fellow man would be a much more important goal, but it's not. It's not. And it seems like the more higher up you go in the education, it seems like the colder and more aloof people get. And, when you work in a field to where you anticipate seeing people that care about people, that's scary. When you walk into a room and you see some of the most educated minds in your field and you realize that they're all pieces of garbage. That was a huge reality moment for me, was that I was in this room of people that I had idolized, that I thought were great and knowledgeable humans. And I realized that they were just self-centered little egotistical toddlers in power. And it made me mad. It made me mad to see such knowledge wasted. It ticked me off quite a bit. He's got a taller hat and a smaller beard, but I think he's adorable. How many have I made? Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've made 7. That's pretty good. Mix my Italian mama with hillbillies and that's the smell. There you go. I'm super proud of my accent. I mean, it's a dying dialect. I'm one of the last few that have it, and I wouldn't change it for nothing. I remember Mama's teachers at college would tape record us, and I always wondered why they were tape recording us. And then, when I got older, I realized, oh, well, we were in this pocket, and they never really taped Mom, but they would tape me, and if my brother was there, they would tape my brother. But I got a lot of attention for the way I spoke. Mom was originally from Indiana, but Papa worked on the railroad. So they would move back and forth between Indiana and Tennessee. So by the time Mama started talking like a Hoosier, they'd move back to Appalachia. And by the time she started talking like a hillbilly, they'd move back to Indiana. So her dialect just kept being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so she was constantly ridiculed because she always spoke wrong. I feel sorry for my mom. But since I grew up, deep in the backwoods, the way I have always spoken has never been augmented. And I picked up, I would sit around the potbelly stove at the local grain store and listen to the old men. And I just picked up, that's who taught me how to talk. So that's who I talk like. And we've got a piece of otter. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's pretty. Sorry, I got completely smitten with this piece of fur. Sorry. I love the Cajun. Now, my future son-in-law, every time I listen to him speak, I feel like I need to go make me some etouffee and go frog gigging. He has real thick, kind of almost Louisiana dialect, and I love it. I love it because people get, just to hear us talk, sometimes they get really concerned. But now throw him in the mix, and we just ply blank confuse people, and I love it. And he's got a storyteller's voice, and so you feel compelled to listen to him when he speaks because he's just got a storyteller's voice and heart, and so you feel compelled to listen to him. And I could just listen to him talk all day, but he does make me feel like I need to have like a crawdad bull. Not gonna lie. Sweet young man, though. Now, my great grandma would speak a little bit of Cherokee when she got mad. We tried to never tick her off because that was kind of scary. Cherokee is a very harsh language, and I don't know barely any of it. I just knew enough to know when she was mad, you walk the other way because when she started talking that scary language, she was pissed. And you left quick. You put some space in between you and great grandma. She was not happy. That woman terrified me sometimes. She was a hard woman and had a a lot of people thought she was mean. And it's just that she grew up in different times and different circumstances. And, it wasn't that she truly was a horrible person. She just had a very different set of standards that she grew up within. And it made her a bit harder than what most people would choose to be. But, well, she scared the crap out of me when she got mad. I've told you so when I was apple picking, Mama would drop me off to help her pick apples. She had an apple orchard. She always made jelly and apple butter. And Mama would drop me off to help her pick the apples in the fall. And she had a little black pony that she'd had for years. I don't even know why she had this pony. I mean, there was no use to him. He just ate the pasture down, I guess, is all he was there for. She got mad at that pony and was trying to pick the apples. Well, he was trying to nose in and get the one she was knocking off the tree before she could get to him. And she walked up and she had him for years. She walked up kind of cantywampus to him. Well, he lashed out and kicked her square in the head, busted her head open. Now, this is an 80-something-year-old woman. Busted her head open. She reached up and pulled a limb off that apple tree, commenced to beating the heck out of that pony. And then when the pony had run off, she looked at me and she was talking Cherokee. I don't know what crap she was saying. She was mad. She's looking at me and just Cherokee cussing up a storm, I guess, and reached inside her apron, pulled out a bandana, wrapped her head, and went back to picking apples. Didn't stop. Pouring the blood did not stop. Got it to the porch when we had our buckets of apples and baskets and everything up there, and I thought, okay, now she's going to wash her head and take care of herself. She sat down and put snuff in her mouth. She was so not worried about getting kicked in the head. I was worried for her, but she was so not worried about being kicked in the head. And she sat there with that bandana on her head, and it eventually the blood dried and it stopped bleeding. Mom came to pick me up, and she asked her what happened. She said, that darn pony. And but you know, she was a hard woman. That stuff, that's just scar you for life when you know. And she never really spoke to me, so she never really spoke any kind, soft words. I don't think she ever hugged me. She taught me a lot, but she never hugged me. But I learned a lot from her. But she was quite a character and kind of terrified me. That's the otter one. Isn't that pretty? That one's gorgeous. I love the way that one turned out. He's beautiful. Oh, I have 3 more. Well, my great grandma was a terror, I bet you, and I bet you she was a mean woman in her younger years. Woo. I got ribs so much. Hey, we had Epsies, and of course I told you about my great grandpa Juber and my great grandma Florida, who named their son Dolphin. They called him Dop, and you know, people just name, you know, they just like names for some reason. I just, you know, whatever floats your boat. But I did have many times wondered what my grandpa thought of his name. And if he ever had any questions as to why 2 people in landlocked Appalachia ever thought it was a good idea to name their child Dolphin. If I get a question answered, I guess after death, that'd be one. Why the crap did you do that? I don't understand. Shady Grove just came on the Bluegrass Channel. Birdie, we've got a lot of birdies here, yeah. That is not enough hair. I could double layer it though. I'm trying to make all of these little pieces of fur really, really go places. So I'm not wasting any of David's fur, because he works so hard on his fur. My mom plays this on the banjo a lot. That's why I immediately started. She sung it a lot too. I've got a pile of hair that's come out of this. David's furs do not put this much hair out, so. Well, that was the shortest version of that song I ever heard. I used to hate as a kid when they start playing Bull That Cabbage Down, because that song would go on for eternity. You would be at a singing somewhere, bluegrass singing or picking and grinning, and you'd think, okay, they're almost done. I'm going to get to go home, you know, because they would last way up in the night. And then somebody would have the bright idea to play Bull Them Cabbage Down. And you knew as a kid you were going to be there for quite another while. I mean, it just, you're going to be there for a while now. Because somebody had started that stinking song, and it's like the song that never ends. It just goes on and on and on. And so you would be like, I want to go home. And your parents would be like, shut up. you know, and of course they'd be up dancing and singing and petting a rug, and you'd just be sitting there going, I want to go home. You used to, I mean, it never failed when you thought you was going to fix to go home. Somebody would break out that song and be like, crap, we're going to be here for 10 more years. I used to go to square dances, and people taught me how to, I mean, we did all kind of dancing. Like, I was part of a little dance class, and the lady taught us how to do like the Lindy Hop, the Salty Dog Rag. I mean, I could do all, when I was like in kindergarten, I could do all these big circle dances with all these adults, you know. And so I knew a lot of music that kids my age just didn't readily know, because I went to all these old-timey dance things. And I used to love to dance the Salty Dog Rag. And it was an old one. It was the old version. And there is someone, I did find it one time on YouTube, people dancing the same exact one that I was taught. And it's an old video. And I need to go back and find it and share it with you. But I danced it as a kid. And I had the guy that was my partner was the librarian's husband. He was such a sweet man. And he was like 6 foot tall, and I was tiny. But he had to stoop to dance with me. But he always acted like he was just enthralled to be my partner, you know. Bless his little heart, because you know he wasn't at all, because it had to kill his back. But he always chose me as his partner and danced with me. And that was always the highlight of my evening in dance class, when that song would come on and we would practice that song, because he really, you know, I felt special that he wanted me to be his dance partner to do a time-honored old song. And I love to dance to that. Salty Dog Rag. That was one of my favorite dances to do. I had a very strange life. No social interaction. My goodness, my mama took us everywhere. I would go with mama to her college classes. I would go with daddy to horse shows and horse barns. And we'd go to clogging classes and to dance lessons. And we had a lady in Kentucky named Barbara that taught all the old dance, like from the 40s, 50s, clogging. She taught everything. So by the time I was in kindergarten, I was had been clogging for like 3 years. And so I would travel with this troupe, and we would go places and dance. And I was always the youngest, and I would always get a lot of attention because they were like, well, she can actually dance. And I was like, yeah, I'm coordinated, duh. And then when I had kids, and we realized that there was a lot of kids at the elementary school that couldn't play sports, but if they got off the bus, their mom or dad were still an hour away from home. Me and mom started an after-school clogging program. And we would hang on to the kids whose parents worked at the factories for another hour so that they were not home alone. I loved it because I got to clog with them, and I was still relatively young. I was like 24, 25, 26. And Haley was 4. Lane was 6. Lane started kindergarten the year we started this. And so my kids just grew up dancing too. So Haley always was the smallest in our troop. She always had a can on. She was out there with the big kids, and she could do all the steps. And she would get pictures taken of her at bluegrass festivals, and people would be like, when did she learn to dance? And I'm like, well, I've always taught dance. So she was just always told to shut up and dance. You know, don't bother your mama. Get in line and learn something. Your mama's busy. So, we did that for about a decade. And then I got injured by that axe, and that kind of changed my abilities. And mom had to have some hip and knee surgeries, and that definitely slowed her down. And we lost a lot of our older kids we sent them, because we had taught them all we could teach them. So we sent them to bigger clogging groups about an hour away so they could actually go and dance at these competitions and stuff. And one of our prized peoples actually won Maggie Valley a couple times. So, I mean, we were good teachers, but we just knew, when we had taught them all we could teach them, we would send them on down the line, and they would go and learn more from others. And So we still have, that's how I got most of all my bonus kids, because everybody knew me. I worked for AmeriCorps. I tutored in the school system. And then my mom was an educator. And yeah, I was just always at school and always a government fingerprinted, safe adult. So none of the parents were like scared of me. What's the matter, Udi? Do you need to go outside? Do you? Can you hang on just a minute? Let me finish this. Was that a snort for no? I know. Hang on. Let me get this done. I think Oscar's about had it with me. He's been really passive if he knows I'm sick, but as soon as he thinks I'm not sick anymore, then he gets really needy again. And it's like, dog, I have figured out that you know what you're doing. But I grew up watching the Smithville Fiddlers Jamboree every 4th of July weekend on PBS. Or Mama and Granny would go to it and set up and sell their crafts. And so, I don't know, maybe I guess I grew up, it was a hard life, but it, you know, I got to have more experiences than most kids, I guess. You know, and if we watched anything on TV, we watched the Heartland series, and we would replay and rewatch the Heartland series, or we would laugh about the Foxfire books and people that had done told stories that we thought would have been better suited for the Foxfire books. I don't know. Maybe I just grew up a little different than most people. But my mom never hesitated to throw me into something. And I think maybe that's why I don't have a fear of public speaking or being in front of a group, is because I was never given that option. I was just told to do. And so I did. And, you know, sung on the radio for Dad when he had his radio program, and sung in church, and I was just always in the middle of whatever was going on. So I never, I never have had a chance to be scared of the spotlight or scared of being in the middle of everything. I was just always in the middle of it. So I think I'm just naturally okay with being there. It doesn't bother me. Which I guess in some ways it probably should, but it never did. So, but I was a very quiet child through high school. I was very much to be seen and not heard, and was very, I was the rule follower. And I found out in many ways that it was self-sabotage. And something clicked to me when my first husband had his affair and did me dirty after I'd been like the perfect wife. Something just clicked in me, and I thought, I'm never going to be quiet again. And I have not ever been quiet again. Was you clogging or buck dancing? Well, we did a little bit of both, but we would have like huge numbers to songs, and we would do like 10 to 12 songs at a set. And we would travel to all these big bluegrass fests, and we would all be decked out in big cans, and basically, we would do some square dancing, but we mostly clogged. But we would do routines to songs. And the kids were great. They loved it. They were super great. They won the talent show a couple years in a row up here at the fairgrounds, and performed at Dollywood and performed at the Museum of Appalachia. And one of my favorite memories was they had Roy Acuff play a fiddle tune for them while they clogged at the Museum of Appalachia. That was really memorable for me. That was a whoa moment for me, because that was a big deal. Roy Acuff, or Charlie Acuff, is Roy's brother, Charlie. And he was the nicest old man. He was 90-something years old. He took a picture with Haley. Haley was she wasn't even in school yet, so she was probably 4 and a half, maybe. So we have a picture of Charlie Acuff and Haley somewhere. It's in one of my photo albums. He's got a long hat and a big beard. He also has a big knot on the side of his head, but oh well. Can't be perfect, can we? No. I guess I could kind of make that stick down. There, I smoothed it down a little bit. Oh my goodness. Okay, Clara. I'll yell at you when I have tracking information for you. Thanks for jumping in. Yeah, we always had a confiscated still on the jail. That's like a staple of Appalachia, isn't it? And most of us be like, yeah, that's Uncle Jim Bob's. It's sad, but we would all be like, yeah, they finally caught him. Let me let my dog out before he kisses me. All right, you can't go out long. Stay close. Oh, my Christmas tree came in the mail today, so we'll be doing that as soon as I have a little bit more strength. So that's fun. I'm excited about that. Very excited about that. Because my Christmas tree is going to be a little weird this year, and I'm terribly excited about that. I still have that much in those huge pieces. I've made all of these. And I still have this much fur in this bag. So, I've done pretty good. Whatever I cut right then sent the hair flying. And I have to go vacuum myself and wash off. I literally have like 5,000 fabric rollers in this house, lint rollers. I mean, I bet you there's 2 in every room. It's impossible. If it was warm, I could do a whole lot of this outside. But it's not, and I'm not going to freeze my butt off, so I'll do it all in here, and then I just have to clean up and vacuum really, really good. This guy's going to have a gorgeous beard. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this denser fur from these colder climates. Burnt myself. This dense fur is just gorgeous. That Cody fur jacket that we got is beautiful. Like, it's a medium, so there's no way I could wear it. But it is, if I could wear it, oh buddy, it would not have left this house. It is beautiful. It is the prettiest thing I have ever seen. David worked a magic deal. And it's nice to know tanners in other parts of the area, other parts of the nation, because you can really help each other out, especially like if you have a year where something is really, really, really kind of not flourishing in your area that year, that season, but it is in someone else's, then you can help each other out. And so we've made some friends, and they were a little bit older, so they're not as tech savvy and doing all the internet stuff. And so we worked a heck of a deal on that fur. And it's beautiful and it's gorgeous, and I'm tickled to death to have it. And I hope that we find that Cody coat a beautiful home, because it is one of the most beautiful things I ever think I've seen. I'm sure if it were brand new, or if I had a more urban marketplace, I could probably get several $100s for it. But I live in the sticks, and I have a very realistic view as to money, so I'm not going to charge that to anybody. So I charged what I thought was fair, even though it's vintage and it's gorgeous. I charged what I thought was fair, and I'm really hoping it finds a good home, because it is, I mean, somebody did some magic there. I mean, you want to talk about some talented individual that made that. Oh my gosh. I mean, amazing work. Amazing work. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Well, no, I would. I would know how to put out a pattern and stuff, but I don't have an industrial sewing machine. Don't plan on buying one, and don't plan on giving myself that headache. So I certainly am not going to make anything like that anytime soon. He also purchased an old rabbit pill bottle hat. Well, I call it a Mary Tyler Moore hat. Do you know what a Mary Tyler Moore hat is? Oh, did you make a pine cone tree? You need to share pics. Yeah, we live in a dry county too, so we always have people running crap. Hang on, Oscar. He's a demanding little guy, you know. He wants to go out, he wants to go out, but he wants to come back in when he wants to come back in. And then he demands his treat when he comes back in. And if you do not give him a treat, then the heavens may fold upon you. Hang on. You caught me right in the middle of something. Hang on. That and Mr. McGibbons and the cats kind of irritate him. They pick on him when he comes to the door. So like sit back and swat his butt, and it scares him, even though they're not hurting him. They're just swatting his little butt. And he will not put him in their place. Look at that guy. He's so cute. My goodness, I have made a whole passel of gnomes. Okay, I'm done. I'm done making gnomes tonight. I made all of the disc gnomes right then. Now, I'm sure David has probably already got a bunch more cut up. But I've got to buy more twine. And clean up. I'll just get them and Lysol my kitchen. And let the dog in. So I'm going to go do that. And tomorrow night, I want to do a Christmas tree craft. Since I got ahead on the gnomes, I want to do a Christmas tree craft. And I don't know if we're going to do a ragtag tree or if we're going to do a fur Christmas tree. I will just have to look at the fur that I have and see if I want to chance that before I get all my gnomes done or not. But we will be doing one of the Christmas tree crafts tomorrow, probably the rag quilt, because I've got my fabrics in, and getting some other stuff done. I'm feeling better. I'm able to eat, not a lot, but I'm able to eat enough to get my energy up. So things will improve every day. I think I jumped the gun and was not well enough and overdid it the other day, and it kind of crashed me back down. But I am feeling much better now. So I'm going to let Oscar in, get cleaned up, Lysol my kitchen, go to Etsy, look at the new products in the Hillbilly Heart Decor store. And then if you want to make a rag quilt tree with us, get some kind of block to be the base, part of a coat hanger we can bend, and some scrap fabrics. Doesn't matter if it's denim or t-shirts or flannel, or it doesn't matter. Just as long as you can cut them in little 3 to 6 or 7 inch strips. That's all we're going to do. And start cutting some strips, and we're going to do that tomorrow. We're going to probably make that rag quilt Christmas tree, because I've been itching to make one of those for the center of my table, because I am going to clean this table up. I'm going to have to sand the stupid thing and refinish it, but I am going to clean this table up and decorate for Christmas, because Haley will be coming home for Christmas. Not for Thanksgiving, but for Christmas. So I am going to clean up after this last vendor sale. And normally if you come in my home, my table is always set with rooster plates, rooster napkin holders, and a crochet tabletop. But I've been too crafty lately, so it's not been pretty, but I'm going to get back to that. I have my craft room almost clean, but it has become the place of boxes as we store boxes to ship everything. So now if I can get the boxes broke down, I can actually get my fat butt in there to craft. So we're almost ready to move to the other room. I have just, because I've had all this gnome stuff here, I've just tried to work through it. So I'm going to Lysol let Oscar in, and we're going to prep tomorrow for the rag tree Christmas tree, the rag quilt Christmas tree. Yes, the pillbox hat. That's what it was. See, my mouth gets tongue tied. Anyway, as soon as I get it, better pictures taken of it, I'm going to put it on Etsy as well. It's adorable. It's a snowshoe hair. It's adorable. I'm going to be putting it on Etsy as well. If they don't sell, then they'll go with David to that vendor sale, but we'll see what happens. But tomorrow night, rag cut Christmas tree. I can talk. And we'll try to get back in the swing of things. And I'm going to be sure that I rest and do not eat anything super heavy and just push liquids. But I'm doing better. Today's been 300 times better than yesterday. So I think I'm finally back on the mending roster. So, but we'll do this again tomorrow. If you want to make a Christmas tree, get your stuff ready tonight and tomorrow and come with me. We'll be here back again about 8:30 tomorrow night. So I'll see you then. Bye, guys. Oscar's going to have a fit. Bye, guys. I'm coming.